Hello class, welcome back. Today's lesson is going to be kind of another extension of yesterday's lesson, but a very particular part of the lesson. So yesterday's lesson we learned about n value, and we learned about what that means for equations, tables, and graphs. And so today we're going to learn about something called slope. And on a graph, what slope is on the graph, slope is your n value. So if you got a line on your graph like this, the n value is how far up it goes per 1 over. You could think about that as slope. It's like the slope of a hill. Slope is the amount of tilt, the amount of the sort of angle that going up or down. So on a graph, we refer to the n value also as slope. And so today I'm going to teach you the best way of calculating slope. For your first definition of what is slope, you can simply say what I said there. Slope is the m value on a graph. So your next question is, how do I find slope? The way to find slope is to choose 2 points on a line. Suppose I choose this point and this point, and we get their x and y value of each of them. And for our own purposes, I'm going to make up values for each. We're going to say this first one is, so the first dot is going to be point, we'll say 2 over and 3 up, and then the second dot is going to be let's say 5 over, no, we're going to say 6 over and 9 up. So the slope is finding the m value. How are we going to find slope? Just using these 2 points. Here's how. We use an equation which is written on your notes, and it goes like this. y2 minus y1 minus x2 minus x1. And each of these represents one of these numbers in the above, and you might be able to figure it out just looking at it. Your y2 is the y value of your second equation. So here is your y2, the 9. Your y1 is the y value of your first equation, which is the 3. And you're subtracting the y1 from the y2. So the top part is 9 minus 3. Below we have x2 and x1. x2 is the x value of your second equation, 6. And x1 is the x value of your first equation, 2. If we solve this, 9 minus 3 divided by 6 minus 2, then what we're going to get is, if we follow the, let's see here, 9 minus 3, the top and bottom of a giant fraction, those are groupings, so we first do the top, then we solve the bottom, and then we divide them. So 9 minus 3 is 6, and 6, or in the bottom, 6 minus 2 is 4, and so then our slope is 6/4. This is our m value. Now this isn't the simplest form. You can simplify that further. The slope would therefore be 3/2, but that shows you the general process without going through the nitty-gritty of simplifying the fraction. So your slope is going to be this equation simplified. Now the question is, does it matter which coordinate pair is first or second? It doesn't matter. You have to choose one or the other to be first or second. Alright. So for this next part, we're going to go through each of the examples together. And these are the examples on your page. And so that first example is a line that cuts straight through the center on this example, I labeled significant dots, or dots that lie at the cross sections of the grids. So this grid meets this grid right there. I drew a dot. So here's a significant dot. Here's a significant dot. If we follow the grids, we can tell which are the coordinates for each of these. So this coordinate is 0, 0. This coordinate is 1. It's 1 over and 2 up. This coordinate is 2 over and 4 up. Okay. So we have a few coordinates. Now we need to figure out our first coordinate and our second coordinate. In the first one, I'm going to choose this guy. In the second one, I'm going to choose this guy. So let's put it into our equation. y2 minus y1 equals x2 minus over x2 minus x1. So our y2 is our second set of coordinates, the y value.
What is this?
I'm recording a lecture.
Oh, okay. Keep recording.
Okay, good. And so the second. So you have 4, which is the first or the second equation's y value, and you have 2, which is the first equation's y value. So it's 4 minus 2, y2 minus y1. And then on the bottom you have x2, which is the x value of the second equation. That's 2. And then you have x1, which is the value of the first equation. Minus 1. And so if you simplify this, you have 4 minus 2. Which is 2 divided by 2 minus 1, 1. Or just 2. So, the m value for this graph is 2. Let's move on to the next graph. I'm going to point to points, then I'm going to tell you what the coordinates are, and then we'll plug them into the equation. So you have this point, 0, 0. You have this point, 2, 1. You have this point, 4, 2. And now we need to plug them in to this equation up here. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And let's see, we're going to make this, one our first, this one our second. So our y2 is 2, our y1 is this 1, our x2 is the 4, and our x1 is the 2, which is going to equal 2 minus 1 is 1 over top of 4 minus 2 is 2. That is our m value, 1/2. For these next two equations, specifically for this one, you're going to find that part of your coordinates are some of the numbers in the coordinate pairs are negative numbers, and so you're going to have to make sure that you account for the negatives there. I want you to try out these next two, and when I go around and I check work, I will tell you if your answer is correct or not. Actually, no, I'm going to tell you what the answer is, and then you can see if you can get it on your own. So the answer for this first one is going to be a slope of negative -2. And then this one over here is going to be a slope of 1. See if you can get those answers, and if you can't, ask me. Alright, so for this last part, and I'm just going to keep it on the overhead here, I like how this is working. The last part of this is horizontal and vertical lines. What are their slopes? And so if you have a coordinate graph, and one of your lines just goes straight across like that. I'm going to make it dotted so you can tell the difference. That slope is 0. It's 0 slope. Just like if you were biking on flat ground, you would say there is no slope. There's 0 slope to something that is flat. Now the vertical is a bit more difficult to understand. A vertical slope, like so, is going to be what we call undefined. So up here, slope is 0, and down here, it is undefined. The reason why it's undefined is because this line goes over top of itself. So it cannot be a part of a function, what we learned earlier. Therefore, it isn't even a question of whether it has slope or not. We can't define it as a function. So it's undefined. Alright, that is all for now, and you can fill out your notes, ask me any questions that you need to, and good luck.